successful boy bands to ever come out of Ireland. Between the bands, they sold over 80 million records worldwide and put Ireland at the very top of the pop music tree from the mid-90s until well into the 21st century. For almost 10 years, they've been carving out a new chapter together while touring the world, bringing audiences back to their seasons in the sun. Together, they raise me up and I love them for a reason. Would you welcome Keith Duffy and Brian McFadden? There you go. There you go.
Oh my God, that was a heavy show so far.
I tell you.
We got to lighten it up, Paddy.
I know, we got to hear. Well, look.
Come on, we're here. We're here for a good time, not a long time.
This is it. And I mean, I'm looking at the pair of you. You're looking well.
Thanks for wearing the brown suit tonight as well, just to really liven it up for us.
Yeah, cheers. Cheers, thanks.
I thought he worked for Etihad earlier.
There you go, there's the questions, I'm away. So look, I was trying to work this out. You guys have been together for nearly 10 years. I mean, that's almost longer than most boy bands actually lasted.
Well, Boyzone only lasted for 6 years, Paddy.
Yeah.
You know, they played 5 out of 4 Irish guys were never good at maths in school, right? 6 years, 10 years.
Get it.
They're very tame tonight, aren't they?
Yeah, how did Boyzlife come about, Brian?
Well, actually, I was doing a gig on my own. I was doing a solo show in Whelan's in Dublin, and I hadn't been back for a while. And Keith came down to see the show. And after the show, we had a couple of pints, and we were just kind of catching up on what was going on. And Keith was basically telling me about this show that he'd written for himself, which was kind of an autobiographical show where instead of kind of writing a book, he would tell his life story on stage. I thought that was a brilliant idea. So kind of later on that night, we said, you know, wouldn't it be great if we did it together? So we actually would go on stage and interview each other and tell stories together about our life. And that's kind of what Boyzlife was. It was never actually a band name. It was the name of the show we were doing. And we did that for a couple of years, and that's kind of where it all started. And from there, it kind of snowballed into us doing that show, into actually going out and just doing the hits of Boyzone and Westlife, right up to now where we're touring the world and releasing new original music. It was supposed to be a 4-week deal, and 10 years later, we're still here.
And you're still here. What did you make of each other, Keith, the first time you met each other? Because, I mean, you would have been... Is it fair to say you were the bold boys in the bands?
Well, we were the similar characters in the bands. We were very excitable, you know. Well, I mean, you're talking about, you know, working class families from the north side of Dublin and then getting an opportunity to be kind of, you know, catapulted across the world. And it's, you know, we just didn't think it was going to last. And we thought, you know, as long as we're here, we might as well enjoy ourselves. So that's exactly what we did, you know. We had a great time, and Boyzone started in '93, and I remember we were touring Southeast Asia in '97, and my dad rang me, and he said, enjoy yourself, son, your days are pretty much numbered. And I said, what do you mean, Dad? He said, well, while you're over there, Louis Walsh is all over the papers over here, putting together a new boy band in case you break up.
That was us.
Right?
Wow.
So, and that was true. So, you know, that's what Louis was doing. He was making sure that he kept it on going. If we did, he saw the cracks, I think, at the time. So when we came back, we started an arena tour of the UK that went on into Europe. And at the time, we get paid an awful lot of money because we were sold out everywhere. We get paid a huge amount of money for a new act to be our opening act. But Westlife got on for free.
You see?
You want me that,
Hey, it's not what you know.
Yeah, it's not who you know. It's who you know.
So they were our support act in the UK and Europe, and that's where we met, and that's when we started causing trouble.
And your tour bus was better crack, so he ended up on your tour bus most nights.
Yeah, absolutely. And we couldn't believe it. So we were kind of, you know, for us, this was a whole new thing. You know, I'd been working in McDonald's, and, you know, 6 weeks later, I'm on a tour bus travelling around Europe with Boyzone. And I remember just one night, just Keith came onto the bus and he had a look around. And he kind of saw, we were all having a couple of drinks, we were young, we were excited, and he disappeared. So that was weird. 5 minutes later, back on, bag over the shoulder, picked the bunk, threw it in, he goes, right, I'm here for the next 4 weeks.
Oh, so you didn't just come to party, you stayed on their bus?
Yeah, well, we see, we'd been on the road for a good few years, and the lads, for some reason, decided that this tour should be alcohol-free. You know what I mean? Let's try and be professional now that we've actually stayed around for 4 or 5 years. And I'm thinking, these are new lads. I can teach them the ways of the road. So I jumped on their bus.
The Jedi Master over here.
What's Boyzlife like compared to the Boyzone days? Because I mean, like do you have to treat yourselves a bit differently? Like you still looking great, Nick.
Well, I'm not going to lie. Honestly, the reason it's 10 years is 5 years ago I was going to leave, but I thought there's no way if I leave another boy band I'll ever get away with it. Yeah. So I said I'm going to have to stay. So I just haven't been able to leave yet. That's pretty much it.
And I got a prenup because he's been married so many times now. I got it signed up. Wives and businesses, he just leaves them. Do you know what I mean? But what's the difference? I think the difference is we're a lot older, obviously.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s. Well, you'd like to think, we've got grown-up children now, so we have to be careful. We have to do the right thing.
I think we appreciate it a lot more now. I think you look back to the Boyzone and Westlife days, and it was so amazing. And it wasn't until it was kind of over that you look back and go, that was so incredible. So I think we kind of treat doing Boyzlife now, when we get to tour the world and get to go to these amazing places, that we kind of treat it like every gig we do could be the last one we ever get to do, because we've experienced that before. And you realise how much you miss that, that excitement and doing what we love. So personally, for me, every day I get on stage, I think, just imagine it's the last time we're ever going to do it. And we really appreciate it now. We don't take it for granted.
Yeah, we love what we do, and it is a lot easier with just two of us. We love our golf. We've an awful lot in common. It makes for an easier life on the road. And we've great fun. We take the mick out of each other. We don't take ourselves too serious. We're very proud of our new music that we've written. Our new song just came out today called Save the Day, and it's doing very well. So check it out. But, we never expected to write and record new music, and we're doing that now. We just kind of feel like we've been given a second chance, and we're very appreciative, and we enjoy every day. COVID was very difficult for us because we were really on the crest of a wave before COVID, and we couldn't really believe the success that we were having. And then we had 2 years with nothing. And I think Brian just said there, every show we do now, we kind of do like it's our last show, because it felt like that in COVID. And the fact that we're back now and things are going really well for us again. And we haven't done an awful lot at home here in Ireland. We've been predominantly away in the UK and UAE and Scandinavia and Australia. But earlier this year, we brought our show home for the first time, and we played the Olympia, which is a great venue for us. Growing up in Dublin, I mean, you were there when you were like 9 years of age or something.
Yeah, my first ever show with the Billy Barry kids. I was in The Wizard of Oz when I was 10 years old.
Oh, no, you weren't.
Oh, yes, I was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there seems to be, huge interest, in boy bands, and obviously the Boyzone documentary, no matter what. Were you surprised by the huge amount of interest around that?
Yeah, it's been phenomenal, the response to it, and it's difficult because it's our story, and it was a difficult one because when you come from tough enough beginnings, and I was never very academic, I didn't like school, and I didn't really know where my future lay. And, to be very honest with you, I was in a marching band, I was a drummer. I liked playing the drums. I was in a couple of bands as a teenager. I never wanted to be in a boy band. I wanted to be a drummer in a rock band, But you take what you get, Paddy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's just, the opportunities in life that we've been given, we're very, very, very appreciative of it. But then when you see it back in front of you in a documentary, it's kind of like everybody didn't know what went on behind closed doors.
Well, this was the thing.
And there's a party that wants everybody to believe that it was all what they thought it was. And it's very vulnerable for people to see you in a vulnerable state. So it's an amazing documentary, and it's a great legacy for our children and our grandchildren one day to see, to know what we achieved coming from a very rock-renowned and traditional music country. It was very difficult. I started my career 32 years ago on this stage. Yep. Dancing around like a gobshite with braces on. That was 32 years ago, on this show with Gabo. And what we achieved from the hard work that we put in was quite amazing. We were a pop group. We didn't play musical instruments on stage. We were very... the Irish nation are very proud of our rock-renowned culture and our traditional music. For a pop band, a boy band to come out of this country, we weren't liked for a long time. It took us to be successful away from Ireland. then to be welcomed home again. And that was tough, you know.
I mean, whenever I was watching it, you know, you were obviously in it. You know, Louis Walsh was kind of portrayed as the bad guy in the documentary. I mean, was that fair, Brian?
Well, when I watched the documentary, well, first of all, what I loved about the documentary, and I think, you know, whenever you watch documentaries or we watch any interview with a boy band, they're normally all together. And you'll have set answers and the experience of what's going on in the boy band is normally, you'll have a thing you say. But I love the fact that they were all taken individually at different times and they were able to give their own individual experience of what being in a boy band was. And I thought it was great because there was even things that some of the boys said I didn't even know happened. And I know all the boys for, 25 years. And you don't know what goes on mentally with people when they're in a band and the stuff that they go through. And for me, it was very therapeutic for me to watch it as well because I was able to relate to it. Because obviously, in Westlife, we went through a lot of the same stuff that the boys did. All the, the news stories and kind of having to give up your life. We were only kids when we started this. We went straight from school into being, this in a famous boy band, and your whole life is there for everybody to see. And so for me, watching the Boyzone documentary, I felt it as well, and it was an amazing experience. And obviously with the Louis situation, it's, you know what Louis like. We all love Louis. Louis just says what he feels. But
what's your relationship with him like now?
It's still the same. I hated Louis when I was in Westlife. I became friends with Louis after Westlife. We didn't have a working relationship. But I think Louis just says things the way he feels. And I'm not sure that if he'd have seen the documentary and what the boys had said, he probably would have had a different way of approaching his answers. I think he took it very nonchalant, and I think if he'd have known how serious and how dark the actual documentary was, he probably would have taken it a bit different.
Are you grateful to Louis?
Absolutely. Louis gave us all a chance, He gave us an opportunity to have an amazing career, travel the world, and to give our families a better life and a better quality of life. So absolutely, we're very grateful to Louis. That was back in '93. We're now in 25. We've worked hard, we've reinvented ourselves. I left Boyzone in '99. I went on then and became an actor. I was in Coronation Street on and off for 10 years. I was in Fair City, did some great John B. Keane plays, and I found myself back in the music business with Brian, and we're having a fantastic time. We're really enjoying ourselves. And in actual fact, our UK tour for next year went on sale a couple of weeks ago, but we've no Irish dates because we were holding them, Paddy, to tell you tonight, right, that we're in the waterfront of Belfast on April Fool's Day. And we're in the Olympia in Dublin on the 3rd of April, and on Friday night, the 3rd of April.
We were actually looking at Croke Park, but it's just too cold in April. Somebody said.
That's not what happened. I was texting our agent telling them that we wanted to play Croke Park, but with predictive text, it came up as the Olympia. You got to take what you get, Paddy.
Take what you get.
Look, lads, we're out of time. It is so good to see you, and good to see a smile on your face.
Great to see you, but congratulations on the job. You're doing a great job.
How are you getting on second season? How are you getting on, all right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Stumbling through it, I think.
I think you're doing a great job, Paddy.
Yeah, well, look, there you go. Yeah. Talking the same old nonsense that you talked years ago. Boyzone's new single.
No, Boyzlife, man. You're going to get me in trouble here.
Yeah, cheers, Pat.
Thank God it's not live.
Paddy, we were going to call it Westzone, but we found out that the car park at Dublin Airport already got the name.
Boyzlife's new single, Save the Day, is out now. The lads will perform at the Rewind Dublin Festival, St Anne's Park on June the 1st. The Farmers' Bash in Belfast on August the 9th. Tickets are available at ticketmaster.ie.